Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is Thursday, September the 28th, 2017. We are almost in the spoopiest time of year. It is approaching, and we've, since sometime last week, apparently, crossed the threshold into pumpkin spice virtually everything. So every female in your life that wears Uggs and those sweatpants with juicy written across the ass end of them, they're eating up every single pumpkin spice muffin, drinking every pumpkin spice latte. They might even have pumpkin spice shampoo at this point in their lives. And I apologize for all the men that aren't a big fan of it, because I fucking love that shit. It's delicious.
I don't know what's even funnier about that whole thing.
What?
It's that it's still like 90 degrees out around, or whatever. It's like 30 Celsius or whatever, so they're confused as to what to wear. They don't know if they should be busting out the yoga pants and Uggs with the pumpkin spice, or if they should still be in their summer clothes. Confusion is hilarious.
They're not particularly confused here in Canada. It's consistently, until there's snow on the ground at university campuses everywhere, you wear shorts and flip-flops until there's at least 6 inches on the ground, and then, and only then, do you actually put on real, honest-to-God shoes. And anything before that is apparently unacceptable. I just realized that I didn't change the white balance on my camera yet, so I'm living in the water today, boys. I'm underwater. We got a good show for you lined up today. Gentlemen, I will before I go any further, how are both of you doing? Mr. Black, how are you this week?
I'm all right. Spent pretty much the whole day in bed, so I did that. Got up at like noon. Well, I woke up at 9, and it was like a Netflix day, and so I got out of bed at 12, went and got food, came home, and went into a food coma, slept for about 4 hours, and woke up at like 6:30 when Kayla texted me and then called and said, "What do you want for supper?" And so I just crawled out of bed 10 minutes ago to come down here. And when I'm done here, I will crawl back into bed, and I will sleep for 8 to 10 hours, and then I will tackle tomorrow.
Not bad. I'm only just realizing that somehow, and this is scaring me just a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you, somehow Adobe Audition does not have any of my presets at all. Period. And I don't know why that's the case. That's kind of scaring me a bit right now.
You sound fine to me, buddy.
You sound great, yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously, but I'm gonna, yeah, I'll worry about it later. I guess for today we'll just roll with it. But
You did hit the record button though, right?
Oh yeah. Oh no, we're everything else is going fine, but for whatever reason, they're not there. I hope they are there somewhere, or I'm going to be a very salty Mr. NovaWar when I have to redo every godforsaken preset all over again. But yeah, Mr. Tabin, how are you doing this week? You've had an eventful week, to say the least.
Yeah, no, it's been very long. It's gonna get even longer tomorrow. I also had to figure out they were supposed to ship my desk to me in like 2 big boxes, so that it'll be easier to manage because I live in an apartment. Instead, they just shipped a giant freight container thing in 1 box, so I have to like figure out how to deal with that tomorrow. I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow. Also, finally, I don't know if anyone, yeah, you guys can't see it; it's just cut out of frame, but I've got my wonderful computer up and running. We'll be messing around with that this weekend as well. Only taking 3 weeks of my life away from me.
New computers.
So pretty.
They're both amazing and also a giant pain in the ass for at least 2 weeks after you've put them together. Something has to go wrong consistently until it smooths out, but it's looking good. I'm liking it. I like the blue choice that you went for the the liquid. I'm digging it. That electric blue or whatever. I'm getting
Yes.
some 1990s Michael Jordan Gatorade type vibes off of this
I'll
color.
have pictures up on my Twitter once it's like all done. I'm just doing the regular water cooling stuff, letting it bleed, all that jazz.
Fantastic. Well, we do, like I said, have a wonderful show lined up for you today. A lot of small stuff. No major crazy over the top stuff happened this week. But some kind of fun stuff. I'm going to assume that all 3 of us played Red Dead Redemption. Am I correct in saying that? Red Dead Redemption was a pretty damn good game, to say the least. I think Red Dead Redemption was better than Grand Theft Auto 4, and not by a small margin. Really, really good game, and I stand by the fact that it has the greatest late title card of all time in any video game, possibly even crossing over into movies. I might even drag it over into a totally different medium. It was so good, the late title card in that game. But Red Dead 2, I say all that, I haven't exactly been, crawling out of my skin to get in on Red Dead 2. I know it's going to be a good game. The odds of it being bad are markedly low. But I've not been, dying to play it. And they just gave this trailer that came out. This is today? This was today, right?
Yeah,
this came out?
They did today, and they had like a live stream announced thing.
Yeah, so they did a bit of fanfare. So watch that trailer. I don't know if both of you guys saw it, but the trailer, pretty good. And as expected, graphically, very impressive. Looks quite incredible, to be honest. The lighting specifically impressed the hell out of me. Similar to you see some of these real life Grand Theft Auto 5 mods that come out. The lighting in the engine that the game uses by default is already really damn good. And so it's usually the animation or a transitional animation or something that really takes you out of the game, because otherwise you can get some borderline photorealistic type stuff coming out of that engine. And so they aren't disappointing with this. What did you guys think of the trailer?
I thought it was good. I mean, it's Red Dead. I'm not going crazy to play it, but I probably will. I like that there isn't a Red Dead out every 2 years, so chances are it's going to be quality instead of just quantity and just selling copies. Trailer looked, I mean, the trailers these days are looking more and more like movies. I mean, they're cutting basically
especially Rockstar stuff.
Yeah,
they'd go out of their way to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I got really nothing bad to say about it. I thought Red Dead was awesome. I didn't think it was like a groundbreaking game. It felt like Grand Theft Auto, but in the Wild Wild West, which is infinitely better.
High quality release.
Yeah, it's infinitely better than Grand Theft Auto, in my opinion. I just like the whole Western world and time. I think that's really cool. It's gonna be a huge success. I mean, I wish I could sit here and say some negative things about it, but there's really nothing negative to say about it. It looks good. It just looks good.
My only negative on it is that they did the same thing they always do. They literally just said Xbox One, PS4, no PC yet. You know, GTA 5 and all that's done a ton for them. Have they announced otherwise?
I haven't.
No.
I mean, I haven't personally seen.
Because I've only seen PS4 and Xbox One, and I'm like, come on, guys, it's 2017.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
You're
think
the
they do
PC.
those. I think those do those things for a reason. It keeps the game relevant, keeps the game talking. They're going to sell a bunch of copies now, and then 6 months, a year down the road, they'll release it for PC, and they'll sell it again. And the people that bought it for consoles will go and buy it for PC as well, to play it online or to play modded versions of it or whatever. There is a strategic reason why these companies don't do this. And also, they probably got a pretty big deal with consoles as well. There's probably an exclusivity deal where this is what will sell consoles. These are the things that sell consoles, period. So it's not the fact that it's 2017. It's the fact that they're in the money-making business.
And Sony said, hey,
and that's
how much
the
would
show.
it take? Or how much would you give us to not put this on PC for a while?
It's the same
they
thing
probably
with
both
Destiny. It's the
double
same
dipping.
thing with all these games. There's a method to it. To say that they couldn't release a game on all platforms at the same time is just stupid. There's a reason why these companies do it, and it's because they make tons of money, and the diehards will buy them on multiple things. I mean, people, either you own a PS4 or you own an Xbox One of the two if you're a console gamer, and everybody owns a PC. The vast majority of people own PCs, so you're gonna buy it then, and the diehards will buy it again down the road, because that's what diehard gamers do.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested to see either before or after it hits PC if just how far they take the online stuff, like they've done with GTA 5. I mean, they ran wild with GTA 5. They really stretched that out, and while none of what and I mean none of what they did with the online portion of GTA 5 interested me in the slightest. It was all pretty damn well done. All of it looked great. All of it played great. It went over well the majority of the time with the people that were diehards for it. A whole community on Twitch sprung up around RP servers for Grand Theft Auto 5 online mode. Everything about it, just they killed it. And it was it wasn't like super quiet, low key, but you'd only really ever hear about it either A, when they released something new for that online mode, or B, when somebody came out and said, oh, by the way, in case you were wondering, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still selling like absolute gangbusters, and this game had been out forever at that point, and it was people buying it because of the online mode. So I think there's probably a huge number of people who are probably quite interested in how they're going to transfer that into, if they do at all, the Red Dead environment. And I think there's a lot of really crazy stuff I'm sure that Rockstar is trying to brew up for that. And I think that's probably going to be one of the more compelling things about it, because I think everyone is kind of with the mindset that the single player campaign for this game is going to be pretty great. It's going to be well done. It's going to be cinematic. The characters are going to be are likely to all be really well done. The writing, the voice acting. It's a Rockstar main game production, and almost all of the games that they put out, without fail, have been just shy of perfect scores from damn near everyone. It's crazy. Like their record is nuts. So I think the real story here for me is what they do and how well they do the online portion, because I mean, people are dying to just go out on horseback and do crazy shit with a bunch of other people out in, like Jeff said, the Wild Wild West. And how many people are going to be playing that dope Will Smith song from the 90s in the background the whole time that's going. I haven't seen that movie in forever, actually. I only ever think of it. I only ever think of the movie when I hear the song.
You've done
There's
yourself
no
a
other
favor.
times.
You've done yourself a favor.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. Well, next, Valve went a bit, I'm not going to say ham. I think Valve did something that they probably needed to do a very long time ago, And I don't know if it's because they were just trying to figure out how they were going to make this happen or not.
They need to go
I'm not
bigger.
sure. Yeah, I think this is a good first step, but this looks like a toe in the water. When we needed like the entire left or right leg for the first attempt. So Valve removed 173 shovelware type games. They're recycled assets. There was a YouTuber who Sid Alpha, who's pretty well known, who did a really, like, I'm gonna say many months, maybe even into the years, like going after and detailing this whole ring of whatever the hell these games are supposed to be. And eventually, I guess, Valve decided that they were going to do something about it, so they removed a bunch of them. The idea here is there were a handful, or there still is really, a handful of studios who are using things like the Unity engine and other similar engines and just cranking games out that use basic assets and more often than not, recycled assets from other games to pump out these super inexpensive. They're not even really games. They're barely games, but you spend almost no money on it.
They're not even mobile games.
No, and then on top of that, so I guess the general idea is, of course, they can then attach Steam trading cards to these games for people to get, and then those Steam trading cards can be turned for a small but added up enough substantial profit. And when the game is only costing you next to nothing, then it stands to reason that you can then almost generate your own money by just continuing to crank these games out for the cards. And so it's a massive abuse of Steam system. It floods the Steam market with absolute trash as the basic problem with the whole thing. But yeah, those other issues stand to rise. Now I know that's kind of like a one and done kind of topic. So I don't know. We can. I guess the way I wanted to expand this was how and Panic. If you have other things to say about it as well.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to mention to give like people an idea on how bad of a problem this was.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Steam released like 86 titles, or not. They published some number of titles, which wasn't a lot during July and August. And okay, actually no, they did research. 10% of all games released in July and August on Steam was from the company or two that they mentioned removing, which was Silicon Echo and Zonatron Productions. If you think about that and you think about what you've been seeing on Steam for the past couple months, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, how Steam has gotten so annoying because you go and look at it and it's just like shovelware everywhere. You're like, you don't care about 99% of the games because they all look like trash. And this is like a direct result of that. But even then, I'm like, why didn't they do this months ago? They've known this has been happening. And we as consumers see it all the time. You see all those garbage games just coming out on Steam that look like indie titles, but you're like, all right, why bother? So yeah, I'm like, good job, Valve. But like, we needed this months ago, and you guys you need to go even harder because there's some ridiculous games that you're letting get out there.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
I want to know who the hell was buying those trading cards. Like, why?
Where's
the money coming from?
I mean, there's a lot of people that use Steam. I mean, they have for all intents and purposes, it's basically a monopoly on the PC game market. Is just basically what Steam is, as far as a storefront that isn't a secondhand retailer like a G2A or Green Man or whatever. So there are a substantial number of people on the Steam platform, and just like with anything, if there is something to be collected, no matter how frivolous or ridiculous that thing is, there is a guaranteed minimum number of people that are going to want to have as many of those things as humanly possible. And when it comes to Steam cards, there's no physical space being taken up. It's just, look at how many Steam cards I have, right? And so it's again, and I mean, I don't know if this was ever done, and I don't even know if it's possible, but it sounds like it is. Imagine as that one of those developers, one of them put out 84 games in 2 months. It represented 10% of all releases on Steam in the 2-month window. They crank all those games out, and these games, the ones that I've seen, have like some of these are less than $1 for the game. Like we're talking 99 cents.
Some are even free to play.
Some of them didn't even matter. So you're making your own games, and you're making enough of them, and then you go out and you get your own trading cards from your cheap ass games. Some of these cards are worth, 10, 15 cents a pop. Your game's only 99 cents. And then you push your cards out to the market, and it's like the profit margin wouldn't be huge, but you think there's got to be a long ball play for these guys to be doing this crap. They're not just, I mean, really. So it's a little weird. I don't know what the solution is for Steam, because they're in a bit of a rock and a hard place. On one hand, they want to be able to be a marketplace where honest to God indie developers and single people, like another popular segment is the RPG maker crowd, where they go out and they make a game and they put it on Steam, and it's like $4.99, and it's called, Dragon Super Ultra, Final Chrono, whatever, Fantasy. And they throw that out there, and there's like 5 people will buy it, and they pat themselves on the back, and they go out and make another RPG Maker game. That's fine. Nobody is out there like playing RPG Maker games on the market to try and like make millions. But right now the gate seems too open on Steam for what can get in. And then the thing that kind of for me, and I don't understand how exactly everything on the marketplace works for Steam, but then they have like the green light thing, where you would figure but you would figure Greenlight would, in a perfect world, be the solution at least partially for this problem, whereby you have to vet some of this crap coming in. Like if Steam sees somebody's going to try and put their game up for 99 cents, there's got to be a vetting process for that, because if not, then we're going to end up with this exact issue. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm sure Valve doesn't want to have to dedicate people resources to be weeding these out on a monthly basis and removing them from the marketplace. You got to stop them before they ever hit the marketplace. You got to be proactive about it. And maybe revamping Greenlight and the self-publishing process on Steam is part of it. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, 173 sounds like a lot. That is a drop in the bucket on Steam for how many of these games exist. It's pretty crazy how many of them are out there. I mean, think about it. Again, 84 games in 2 months. 84 of them. It's nuts. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. But if you, and like Panic said, just to try and get Jeff in, I don't know if... you've probably noticed that when you go to Steam and you're trying to find a game to play, or maybe you just want to find something silly to play or whatever, if you're ever on your downtime, and you go in and you're looking at like new and upcoming or whatever, you're going through these lists, and even when you get into some of the more like specific lists, just the sheer amount of shit that you have to comb through sometimes before you hit like an honest to God game title is kind of ridiculous. Have you ever seen that? Like, have you ever gone looking and then you just like, why am I like you feel like you're at the thrift shop and you're like going through all the bins and shit trying to find like that one good t-shirt, and every other one has like Donaire stains on it and shit. So like, you ever had that problem?
I mean, I've seen the crap on Steam, but I don't spend a lot of time on Steam, so I mean, I think the only time I ever really dig into Steam is when I was trying to find like VR games, or in weird or puzzle games, or trying to find a horror game to play. Yeah. But I am rarely on Steam. As soon as my computer boots up, I close Steam. Like I don't even look at Steam. I don't buy games from Steam very often. So yeah, I mean, 84 games is kind of ridiculous. I think they should just limit studios to a certain amount of games they can publish in a run of a quarter or something, and then once you get to a certain number, there must be like an approval process or something like that. I have no idea, but it just seems ridiculous. You want to know what I want
to see that number to be in like a 2-month period? Like
one.
Yeah. Yeah, one.
And like maybe a DLC. But one.
Yeah,
you're cranking that shit out more than one a month. There's something going on there.
Yeah, it's a bit much. But yeah, so there you go. Hopefully, we'll track this if Steam comes up with another part of a solution to this. But that's about it for that for now. I just thought that was kind of crazy. But it's definitely just a part of a litany of issues that Steam has that probably should have been tackled a very long time ago. But Steam is one of the slowest moving companies I've ever seen, and it's because they have a monopoly. So why would they put the time and effort in when nobody else is challenging Steam? So it doesn't really stand to reason that they put much more than minimum effort in the long run. Sony has finally put, I guess, for those for those of you out there that have been desperately waiting for the return of the PlayStation Vita. I hate to be that guy. Don't shoot the messenger, but Vita 2 is definitely not happening. And Sony has finally come out and said, guys, it just didn't sell, and everyone's playing games on their phone. And while we appreciate that Nintendo is still trying to keep in with it, it's their Nintendo. Let them do their thing. We can't dump more money into coming up with a Vita 2 when everyone's basically just playing games on their phone now. So, rip. Rip the Vita. I guess it was good while it lasted.
I mean, so the Vita was the Vita itself.
It was good.
There's nothing wrong with it. It was a good console, but honestly, yeah, it was on the tail end of the handheld gaming. Like Nintendo's kind of got their niche. Sony recognizes that. So you know what? I'll give them props for that because Sony has always been notorious for trying to come up with like secondary standards or like kind of trying to like push like other gadgets and stuff. So you know what?
Like
I'm
that.
saying,
What was it called? The U. What was it?
The UMD disc.
UMD disc. That weird, whatever the hell that was. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they push their weird standards, their weird memory sticks. They've always kind of done that. So they're kind of the fact that they're not doing it, I'm totally okay with. Even though it was I love my PSP. I never got a Vita because my regular PSP was fine, but it was a good console. So you know what? Tragic it's not happening, but still the right move.
Yeah, the hardware, especially the once they got past the disc thing and they moved on to the Vita or whatever, there were good games on the Vita. There were several that got ported over to PC and other places later that were really fantastic games, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, the Vita just did not take off in North America and Europe. Nobody, I think a large portion of it
nearly as well as the original PSP did. Like the PSP took off like hotcakes. And the Vita just had a nice initial burst, but then it just stopped. It dropped dead.
And it became popular with people to kind of hack and do emulation on the Vita because it was such a powerful handheld. And the screen looked great. It felt substantial. Like none of the Nintendo handhelds has ever felt as substantial as the Vita did to
tanks.
me. Yeah. So it was for all intents and purposes was great. I think the biggest problem was the price. The Vita was really friggin' expensive, like super expensive, and the games were expensive because they were trying to push.
You have one in your collection, Jeff?
I sold it.
Bother picking up PSP stuff.
I had one. I sold it for like $160. I would never play it, so I had a stack of JRPGs that were supposed to be pretty good and rare. Like there's quite a few expensive games for the Vita, and a lot of collectors are like buying up as much Vita stuff as they can because there are so many limited releases on a lot of games. And they're just going up in value drastically. It's going to be great for collecting purposes to hold on for long periods of time. It was really weird, too. Like, even the games that I got, when you open them up, some of them didn't have manuals, and they just had the front cover sheet, and that was it. Like, you'd open it up, and it almost looked like your game was incomplete. Like, there was nothing in there but the game itself. And then some games had like a manual and it looked like a regular game. So yeah, it was really bizarre. I did play it a little bit, like just to say I played it, and it felt the console itself felt good. But nobody wanted that shit, man. It just, the Vita is like BlackBerry's last BlackBerry. People had already gone out and bought the iPhone. They've already gone out and bought the 3DS or the whatever else was going on back then. And
Great
there was
piece of tech for something that didn't need to happen.
Exactly. It was like, the people that were diehard Sony fans, PSP fans, they picked up the Vita and they were like, "Oh, this is great." And they praised and they sang about it and they marched the streets and said how wonderful it is, but nobody was hearing their cries. Nobody cared because everybody else was just busy doing other things, right? Because that's just the way it was. So, the Vita was the BlackBerry of gaming, and their time has come and gone, and Sony knows that, so they're moving on.
It's good for them to recognize that, at least.
Yeah, at least they're not trying that again. I think it's wise. I think the marketing for it was a bit of a problem too, because they kept saying, console games on a handheld device, and that came back to bite them in the ass so many times because people would always be saying, they'd get a SOCOM on the Vita or something, and then they'd say, but how much more, how much better would this be if they just gave it the full juice of like the PS3 or whatever? Like why would we limit this to the handheld as good as it looks? And so I feel like Nintendo has been better of running the line between handheld and console in terms of the fidelity of the games, so that people are less not inclined to never, but less likely to question the reasoning behind putting a game on the handheld versus putting it on the full console. And the Vita had this problem where it happened a lot, where people just were like, well, just put it on the main console. It's whatever. I'm spending $100 more. I get the full console instead of the Vita, and I'm going to get a better gaming experience. So just why are you just limiting this to the handheld? So yeah, it was good as a piece of hardware, but yeah, it just didn't take off. And I think we just talked about this. What was the game? I can't remember. It was a couple weeks ago we talked about this, and somebody was releasing a game on the Vita, like it was coming out in a month or something like that. And I can't remember what it was, but I was shocked because it was like everything. Oh, I remember why, because it wasn't coming out on the Switch or anything like that. It was like everything but the Switch. What was it?
I don't even know.
Remember.
Like,
It was every platform, including the Vita, but not the Switch, and I was so mind blown because it was such a perfect match for the Switch, but like the Vita, and I was so confused. So confused. I didn't think anyone would ever develop for the Vita ever again, and this is probably the last one. Although in Japan, I bet you they will probably make them for a while.
They have. Wow. Okay. They've got like 20-something games coming out in October and like another 15 or so more games coming out for the rest of the year.
Just
like,
nobody
there's a non-trivial number of games.
It's kind of weird. I think it's probably going to be, I don't know, I can't see the list, but it's probably a lot of Japanese related stuff that will be showing up on it. Yeah. So, but that's because it's sold relatively well in Japan. So they're probably going to have
a lot of these are
while
doubled
longer.
up. It's like 15 titles total.
Yeah,
like Euro release, American release, Japanese release.
Yeah. But RIP Vita, great for the collectors. If you have one, hold on to that bad boy. Ride that one out into the sunset. Fortnite beta weekend happened, and it went over surprisingly well. Apparently, I know this is Epic saying this, and they haven't given what these numbers, like what metric these numbers are attached to, but they're saying 1 million players. Now that is highly unlikely to be concurrent. Like just very unlikely. I can see 1 million players over the course of the weekend, and even that number is impressive, given that it was just a run over a short period of time for that. But they are very pleased with those numbers, and the response seems to be net positive to Fortnite. I have seen obviously complaints, but most of the complaints are based
they were
more
like
in
day
the
one
fact
stuff,
that
right?
Yeah, well, no, well, I think the complaints that I've been seeing seem to stem from people who just don't like the formula of Battle Royale that it presents. Like they don't like the building aspect of it, or they find the guns are boring or something. Like they don't like the style of Battle Royale, so their complaints are just within that, and not necessarily like I didn't see very many people complaining about the game being broken. or that there was I saw scant few people complain about lag or desync with weapon fire or anything like that. That all seemed to be okay. Everything just seemed to be more about the game, the style of the game itself.
I haven't had a chance to play. I'm going to be probably playing later tonight and sometime this weekend. I know Jeff had a decent chunk of time with it. The stuff
Yeah,
I've
Jeff's
been
played
enjoying about
quite a bit.
Fortnite is how PUBG and like the PUBG developers and marketers and stuff have been losing their shit about Fortnite like publicly.
Oh yeah.
So you know that's where I'm getting my enjoyment out of it for now. But Jeff,
Absolutely.
what did you think of Fortnite? Because I've been watching you play it, in squads and stuff, and you seem to be having a good time.
Yeah. I love the game. I think it's great. I like it more than PUBG, infinitely so. It's something different. It appeals to me more. I think a lot of the people that are complaining about Fortnite are PUBG fanboys that have. It's kind of funny that I've had many people come to my stream and be like, "Oh, what the fuck is this PUBG copy?" And I had to, give them a reality check that PUBG is a copy of H1Z1, and H1Z1 is a copy of DayZ, and so on and so forth. There's this allegiance and this loyalty to PUBG, not only because people have put in
like
an
that
astronomical amount of
forgetfulness.
hours, but they also are attached to certain streamers and people that play the game a lot. And so they have this blind allegiance. Most of the people that have played Fortnite that complained about Fortnite before they played it ended up actually really enjoying the game and find themselves playing a great deal of it. It is nice to, and I don't want this to turn into 20-minute discussion on how broken PUBG is because we've already talked about it. But
Yeah, there's no reason
to have a game that works, that there's no lag when you're opening a door, when you're landing off your parachute, or in this case, an umbrella or whatever it is that you're getting. The fact that when you win a game, you get a different umbrella or something, a chute to fall from in the sky, which you can easily see like who is good and who isn't by just the fall. You can also open and close your parachute several times before you actually land, so you can float, free fall, float, free fall,
So you
free
can
fall.
like flutter yourself down.
Exactly. It's just nice.
How did you feel about I'm sorry to cut you off there, but how do you feel about just like, I know you're sounding like the mechanics are better, but like the shooting mechanics, the third person mechanic, like is it like feel, I know you're saying it's better than PUBG, but does it feel solid on its own merit? Like if PUBG wasn't around and you were sitting down to play Fortnite, would you be happy with, the way the guns were shooting, the way you were like running around on the map, the size of the map, like if PUBG wasn't around?
Yeah, I think it's all fine. There's some mechanical things that they need to fix, like when you're looting a dead body, you can't like click tab like you can in PUBG and kind of select what you want on the fly as quickly, and that's a problem because everything is cluttered. So you're trying to pick up an item, but you keep picking up the wrong item, and you're going back and you die because you're spending too much time at the body. They already said they're going to be fixing that, and they've already done, since I played it the first time, and now just in like a 4-day period, they've already added a lot of new things that just kind of make it a lot easier. I like that Fortnite rushed out and beat them to market. I think it was really smart. They didn't stay in this alpha state for God knows how long. They had a game that was coherent, that worked, and they released it, and they're patching it as they go. There has been some server issues the last since release, so there's been times. Yeah, and I didn't get upset about it. Like, it was disappointing because you're enjoying the game so much, but you also got to understand, if there was 1 million people playing the game at any point over a weekend, the servers are going to get wrecked. And they also just brought out like squads. There still is no in-game chat yet, so you can't type or talk to people while you're in a game. So you kind of have to go on Discord or some other third-party voice communication.
Because they had that in the original Fortnite.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's not there. I don't know if they plan to put it in or when they plan to put it in, but the game itself is fun. I think the guns sound great. There's enough variety of guns to have fun with it. You know, there's some that are rare, so when you get it, I like the leveling system to the guns, as in like the color system. It's not like PUBG. Yeah, and what's nice about this game is it's not a loot simulator like PUBG, right? You go around, you find a gun, they all can do things. Some shoot faster than others, but it's all color based. So you've got your regular gray gun, then you've got blue and green and purple and yellow, and they all have different powers. So there's the same gun, but you can get them in levels that shoot stronger. And then there's just the basic armor. So you just drink like an armor potion, and it gives you 50% armor at a time. You're not running around picking up a level 2 helmet, picking up a vest, looking for a backpack, looking for all this shit.
So they streamlined it.
Yeah, and it's super fast paced. It's whoever
How
complains.
long does the average game run?
If you go to the very end, I would say no more than 30 minutes, but I would say probably 20, because it just goes so
PUBG
fast.
Is like 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean it's I'd have to go back and it doesn't feel long at all. Like when you get killed at the beginning, you don't really care because you just boot up another one like instantly. There's there's less downtime, and it's just faster paced. It's just you go in there. It's not quite like Team Fortress fast, but it is fast. So you're in the heat of battle very quickly. What I love about it the most is the building aspect and the fact that you can build like just so many dope plays where people are like building bridges over certain mountains and then like jumping into somebody's house
you at some point.
And and like going in. And what's nice is like in PUBG, like I respect PUBG. I think PUBG's a great game. And it's a lot of fun to play. But what I like about Fortnite is it doesn't take itself too serious. So the imperfections that Fortnite have, they're not as severe because it doesn't take itself like this shooting sim. Yes, there's bullet drop in Fortnite. Yes, there is those elements. There's physics,
though, right? Because you see the bullets and stuff.
Yeah, you can see the bullets. The sniping feels so good. It looks phenomenal. You can see the bullet go the whole way, which is really cool. But the thing that I love the most is it's not a camping simulator. So PUBG, it's like you find good stuff and then you play like a bitch, right? So like guys like Adam that play the game, and this isn't a shot at you, but you're very calculated and you don't want to fight ever. You just want to stay out of harm's way. You want to make it to the very end and get a couple kills and win. On Fortnite, it plays to people that are aggressive. You can build forts. Like if there's people around you, you can just build forts on the fly. You can run and build stairs. If people are hiding in a building, you can shoot the walls down. You can you can break anything. You can chop down trees so you can see things better. You can chop down
your
buildings.
Defense is not necessarily positional. You can just be like, oh shit, I got myself in a bad spot. I'm just gonna build right here right now.
And when you're with a squad, it's so much better because you have like designated builders and lookouts, and it's dope as fuck. And not only that, if you're stuck in a house and there's a team coming in like flanking you, you can just break through a wall and run. Like you can actually escape. So it's just
a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, and there's traps that you can put in. So like you can add traps to ceilings on ground. You can put
they
on
kept all
the
the
ground.
Stuff from the original stuff.
It's just I just find it so much better for me. But yeah, I see why people like PUBG. I'm not shitting on PUBG. I think PUBG is an amazing experience, and if you just want to go in and have a good time and listen to trolls and role play a little bit and all that stuff. But I am a firm believer that Fortnite is here to stay. I think it's going to get very, very big. Is it going to get PUBG big? No, they missed the market like at the time. But there'll be a strong second, and it'll keep PUBG honest. So if PUBG starts to shit the bed more, all it's going to take is Dr. Disrespect or Summit to go, fuck this shit, man. Like I'm fucking tired of spawning and nothing is showing up on the map. Fuck this shit.
The Doc cut his stream early today.
Yeah,
because of how bad it was
because
playing.
Of how bad the game is.
early. Yeah.
So So, you know, all Fortnite needs to do is stay consistent, keep updating their game, and that's it. And it looks like Fortnite's paying people to play their game too. I've been noticing some hashtag ads from people in there. So, and this is like surprising me from Epic, because Epic did the complete opposite with Paragon. You know, Fortnite came out and they were they had confidence in their game. Paragon, since day one, there was this, they weren't confident with what they had. It was almost like they wanted they wanted the community to almost tell them the game that they should build, and they kept changing it drastically. And this, they just copied Player Unknown, and then they added a building element, like a Minecrafty type element to it. And they made it much more fun and vibrant. It's just a much more beautiful game to look at. It runs like butter.
It's just
like,
funny because they had all this tech from before. Like the Fortnite game before is radically different from the PUBG version.
Where it is now. Yeah.
But but just watching the PUBG version or watching the Battle Royale version in Fortnite, I'm just like, it's a pretty good use of the tech they already had. Like the fact that they're doing it, I'm like, see if you can make it work.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fast-paced fun, and most people that played it, like even Major Awesome, who's part of the community, he was like, and other people in my chat that were like, dude, what the fuck is this shit, man? Like you go into the menu or the map, and it looked just like PUBG, and people are like, this is some sort of bullshit copy. And then they go and they're like, oh, it's free to play, and then they play it, and next thing you know, 8 hours have gone by, and they're going, oh my god, this game is fun. This is really, really fun. Like, so much so, I just want to play it right now. I want to turn it on and just play it. It's like a game that I would play off stream to just have fun. And it plays, I think, more to shooters. Like, if you're good at, say, Unreal, or
Epic.
Yeah, like it just plays like those. So it plays more to my strengths, and I'm having fun with it. So I give 2 thumbs up to Fortnite. I'm not being paid to say this, but I think the game's phenomenal. I think everybody should be downloading it and playing it.
An ad.
And not only that, I think if you are a big PUBG fan, if you download it and play it, I think you're going to find some very redeeming qualities of it. You might even enjoy it more, but at the very least, you should support it, because it's going to make it so that PUBG has to go and do something with their shit broken game that just so happens to be a very entertaining show. It's like almost watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's a fucking mess, but it's entertaining to watch. And now other shows or games that are coming out that are competent, that are actually, they play significantly better. And I played PUBG again the other day just for the lulz, just to see, and just running around in PUBG, it feels slow and broken. It just doesn't feel fluent. Like, just jumping over shit doesn't feel right. Crouching, crawling, everything is just slow. And when you, it's really almost like going from a 1080, what was before 144 hertz monitors, like a fucking
60 hertz that are still
60,
totally around.
60, we'll say 60 hertz monitor, and then plug it in a 144 hertz monitor, and you go, oh my god, this is what a game is supposed to feel like. And that is the difference between PUBG and Fortnite. It's that drastic. Same engine.
Well, yeah. I mean,
crazy.
I've played Nintendo 64 games that feel smoother than PUBG. It's not really like a difficult hurdle to move beyond the fidelity of gameplay feel that PUBG has, because yeah, it's a hot mess. They released a patch today, and the patch notes were like 3 lines long, and it was a 550 megabyte patch. I don't even understand.
Patching engine's
like
not really that good.
You know, like, I'm trying to figure out how, like, how does any of this add up to 550 megabytes worth of patching? It doesn't make any sense at all. And so yeah, like I've said in the past, I hope Fortnite does well. I hope it does extraordinary. I hope it does better than PUBG.
Me too.
Because
Me
I
too.
think it needs to do better than PUBG before Bluehole gives a fuck, to be completely honest with you. I've called them out many times before. Bluehole is a bunch of slack ass, lazy motherfuckers that would rather threaten litigation than take their $300 million that they've earned off of 12 million copies to date sold on Steam alone, not including wherever else you could get this game. That's just Steam Spy. And turn it in to something that's not a hot mess. I mean, again, I can't remember when it's supposed to launch on consoles.
Money's on Epic.
Yeah, like, so when's PUBG supposed to launch on consoles again? Is that a November thing or an October thing?
I thought it was like early November or like late October. It's like a couple of weeks.
So they've got a handful of weeks to bring this together, including vaulting, which people are still sitting around waiting for. And that's not a small coding change. So to go live and go to console at the same time that you're putting out something as substantial as allowing players to vault over the myriad objects in the PUBG battleground that you can come by is maybe one of the dumbest things they could have possibly done. They probably should have done it a very long time ago. But again, they seem to have this weird order of operations there. And the most insulting thing is every time they release a patch to the test server, they say, thank you guys so much. Of course, as always, go to the forums. Let us know what bugs and stuff you come across and suggest things, because we, believe it or not, and in all caps, we are listening to the community. Fuck you, you're not listening to the community. Stop saying it. Stop lying. You're not.
They're more interested in updating people on how many people are playing their game and how awesome it's doing, and how threatened they are at Fortnite, because they are threatened as fuck. And anybody that doesn't think so is absolute. I had some fanboy in my stream yesterday, and they were just running their mouth. They were like, fucking PUBG is infinitely better. They ain't scared of nothing, man. They got 1 million concurrent, bruh. They got all this shit. I'm like, all right, dude, you go and keep doing your thing. And that's the reason why PUBG is not doing shit, is because the vast majority of people are just
taking it.
They're just they don't care.
Did a lot of stuff. They came out with like all sorts of marketing things. They said they might be looking in to take action against Epic about it. They went nuts over it, and honestly, it's kind of stupid, because all they should have said was like, "Hey, welcome to the space. Good luck," and then just left it at that. Yeah. Instead of like blowing it up.
They helped Epic out a lot by
they
so much.
It almost is like tinfoil hat levels
came out like, I'm playing this to spite PUBG right now.
Yeah, like
he actually tweeted that out.
It's almost tinfoil hat levels of did these two companies talk and say, we can both benefit if we stir some shit up. we both get our name out to a broader news audience in the gaming sphere if we do this, and we can take the fall on it. It's not going to really do anything. So it's almost there.
It's a win-win for Epic. I mean, they're going to get a cut out of the sales because they're running the engine from PUBG, and then they get to be in the space all at the same time. So it's a win-win for Epic. I don't think they've conversed to create some kind of drama. PUBG definitely didn't need the publicity. They already had it. They already had all the headlines. They had everything. And the way that Fortnite came in and just swooped in and rushed to market was just genius.
I
love it. I love it, and the game doesn't suck. And the game doesn't suck on top of that. No. So I think you should try it out, man. It's a lot of fun. I'd play with you, dude. The squads are dope as fuck.
It's not that I don't think it's good, because I've watched you play it. I've watched a bunch of people play it, and I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks like it plays super solid. It's an epic shooter, and there's not very many epic shooters that don't play super solid. It's just that the style of battle royale that game presents is not the one that intrigues me. That's why it bothers me with PUBG, because PUBG is the style that I like. It's not full blown, but it's like an arcade sim. It's like the equivalent of Forza in terms of car arcade simulation, and I get a lot out of it for that. So I really enjoy it for that. The building aspect I think is amazing. But again, that it's that differentiation that I love about it, but it doesn't pull me in. Does that mean I'm not going to play it? Probably not. I'll probably turn it on and play it. Like I'll give it a go. But it doesn't. It's not something that makes me want to play it immediately. But I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks awesome. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, it's free to play. So get fucked, blue hole.
Yeah, and the single player is still, you still have to pay for that.
Yes.
But the single player is huge. The game
Well,
is
single player is picking up.
massive. And
Yeah.
there
In a couple
is
months, it's
so
gonna be
much
free to play.
content. There is so much content in there. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
It's like AAA. Like there's cutscenes and character arcs and all this other shit
There's
going
a
on.
storyline
It's like
and everything.
I couldn't believe. I'm like, where did this game come from? Like it's
been around for
it's
a
impressive.
while. They announced it a couple of years ago, and it's been one of those things that's kind of been like, is this game ever actually going to come out? And then recently they said, hey, we're going. They're doing like the whole founder pack thing, early access.
Yeah.
You can pay to get in, and then they're like, if you don't want to pay, it's like 2018 spring, it's gonna be free to play, and you can join in then.
Hey, speaking of companies that can't keep their mouth shut, Atlas Japan continues to be absolutely ridiculous. This time around, it's still Persona 5 related, but they threatened a DMCA action against a PlayStation. I can't remember which PlayStation 3 emulator specifically, but against a PlayStation 3 emulator, trying to go directly to Patreon to have them remove the funding page for it, on the basis that not because it's an emulator, but because it enables people to be able to play Persona 5 on the PC, not in a way that they themselves have put out there. So they're like, oh, my Persona 5 experience, oh, it's going to be ruined if you guys are going to play it on there, and this emulator is doing it, so we're going to try and take you down. Luckily, for the people that are doing the emulator, and they would know this already, making an emulator is perfectly legal. And it's been that way since Bleem won their court case aeons ago. And so Patreon took a look at Atlas Japan and said, nope, fuck off. Go figure it out somewhere else. That's like blaming the electric company for something that somebody created using the electricity that they're getting from. Like, it's just the dumbest try and work around. And another, I don't know what it is with these companies trying to abuse the DMCA shit lately, but it's either they're just hoping that they scare them off because they think that the end user doesn't understand DMCA, and you better believe that of all people, somebody making an emulator is likely going to know that shit like the back of their hand, but obviously in this case they don't have a leg to stand on, and it just continues to make them look like they're a bunch of archaic assholes. Like I don't understand their play on this. I've loved Atlas for a long time. I've always touted them to be this fantastic game developer, and the games that they've put out are generally very good. But fuck off. And I'm not going to say this to Atlas of America because they just basically translate the games for America. But Atlas Japan, fuck off. Get with the times. This isn't like the friggin', I don't even know what point in time doing this would have been kosher. I mean, you're unless you really want to go out of your way to piss off the fan base that you have. And let's not get this twisted. Atlas doesn't exactly have a horde of fans that financially make these games very viable. I mean, I doubt that they make a fortune off of the Persona games because they are massive. They take a long time to make. They're asset intensive, especially with voice acting. They have animes that usually run alongside of them. And while Persona 5 sold well, they're not selling like 20 million copies of this shit. They're still considered to be a super niche game. So if you're going to piss off the already small sub-segment of the gaming market that you managed to carve out for yourself, then you deserve whatever it is backlash that you get. And I hope that this catches them somehow. I hope that it doesn't put them under eventually where people just walk away from their shit. But I'm just so tired of seeing I'm just so tired of seeing their name come up for all this shit. Just do something positive with yourself. Fuck. I don't know, go to a friggin' maid cafe and tell them to draw Pikachu on your fucking scrambled eggs and rice. Stop doing this fuckery and trying to bully people out of crap when it doesn't matter. Your game is fucking incredible. It's probably going to win some Game of the Year awards. Stop trying to shoo, fucking people away from enjoying the game that you've created. And if you really don't want other people to have this game on the PC, then fucking put it on the PC yourself. Like, again, your market's this big. Why limit it to a console? Fucking put that shit everywhere you can. Just stop. For the kids. Stop for the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I got nothing to add.
I just put that in there because I wanted to vent. Because I'm just fucking tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I want them to just stop the madness. Speaking of madness, and this is our last one before we roll off into the sunset, into the second half of side A here. Certain companies have been doing some really weird marketing in the last several years, where they do some really hyper-specific stuff where they make incredibly expensive limited crap to create buzz. It was like the Final Fantasy 15 car that was like the Audi or whatever that they did is a good recent example. And now with Assassin's Creed, the new Assassin's Creed that's coming up here, they've decided to work alongside a French company, Philippe something or other. I don't know where the first name ends and where the last name, first name ends where the last name begins in this company. I've never heard of them. For all I know, they could be great. I don't know, but they've worked together with, like, in the list of this, like, all this artisan crap, whatever, these goldsmiths and all these fanciful things to create a headset. Like we're wearing on our head. Shout out to Sennheiser. #ad. Like the ones we own on our head for 50,000 euros. They're going to make 10 of these, and they're
That's like
gilded.
$90,000, isn't it?
Yes. Well, yeah, we'll say 80. We'll say $80,000.
Math.
But it's okay because the regular edition is something like 4,000 euro. And why this is necessary, or how this is... I mean, I guess it's working because I'm talking about it right now. But it's not making me want to play the game. I'm not getting hyped for Assassin's Creed because there's a 50,000 euro headset that probably, and I'm going to be honest with you, I mean, nobody's buying this probably for the sound quality. I'd bet a few dollars this headset sounds like a sweet pile of ass. You're basically putting this in a shadow box and never putting them on your head. But for 50,000, who spends 50,000 euro on a
like 10 grand off the price?
Yes. But I mean, who does that? Who's going to buy this?
Rich
Who
people.
is so-
I mean, there's only
random rich guy
10.
in, like,
There's only 10 of them
the Middle
available.
East.
I think it's
Some
kind
guy
of
in the
cool.
Middle East is gonna be like, I
it's
want
cool.
this.
I think it's a cool idea. I think it's cool for the jewelry company to get some publicity. The person that's going to go ahead and buy this for however much dollars this thing is, they're likely going to buy more jewelry from this company. I think it's cool. I think it looks cool. I think it's I think it's pretty dope. I mean, there's people out there that's got more money than what they need, and so they just go, you know what? I really love Assassin's Creed. I want to have limited edition things, and this would be really cool in my game room. You know, did you see the Assassin's Creed head that there is for this thing?
Dude,
editions.
no, there's all sorts of crazy Assassin's Creed stuff. Ubisoft's running this one up with the crazy limited shit. Yeah,
it looks dope as fuck. There's like $12,000 for the bronze head that you can put the headphones on top of. It actually looks dope. It looks dope as fuck, though.
Oh my God, I would.
Couple podcasts from now, we're gonna see Jeff sitting there in his car.
Jeff's gonna have
with
this
the bronze head
investment,
in the passenger
this
seat
60,000
with the headphones
euro.
on.
I ain't got that kind of money. Fuck.
I can see it now, just on the back next to Goku battling friggin' Frieza up there. Gonna be a 60,000 euro combo of a Assassin's Creed
It's worth
bronze
more than
bust.
this whole basement. So no. But I mean, there's people out there that got a shit ton of money. I mean, people are out there spending like $30,000-$40,000 on gold-plated iPhones and things like that. So, to have
but this
gold.
is like the market for that I get, right? Like just as a general iPhone, right? There is stuff that's not iPhone or anything that are like super specific for ballers that are like hundreds of thousands of dollars with secure networks. Anything happens to you, they fly a fucking helicopter out to pick your ass up.
But I'm talking
local,
like people just
fitness.
spend tons of money on like a phone case to have their phone dipped in gold. Just a lot of random shit. So this is really no different in my eyes. To somebody, this is really cool conversational piece to have. If you're some fucking,
you're Kim.
I don't know, some prince.
You're in the.
Some
you're
Arab prince that has a
Kim.com.
shit ton of money. You just don't care.
You're a dude who plays video games who coincidentally has unbelievable amounts of money. That's the market for it. So there's like Kim.com and 5 of Kim's friends, and a couple of them will buy 2.
I think there's a lot more than what you think. I think there's a shit ton of people out there that could afford this. If I was, honest to God, if I was filthy rich and there was something like StarCraft related, like I could get like a Nexus made out of gold that would cost me $100,000, and it was a huge part of my life and my upbringing, and I had just the infinite amount of money it would just be like whatever to me. Hell yeah, I'd buy it. It'd be a limited edition thing. It would look really cool in an awesome like $1 million display case. I could tell people about the history of it and things like that, and at the very least, I know I would own it. So I think to the right person,
there's more. I got more for you. Apparently, there is a €100,000 version of this headset inlaid with diamonds.
Damn.
Oh, Jeff is sold now.
Damn. Now you got me. One sec. I gotta open up my bank account and see what I got going.
Your headset is now diamonds.
See if I
you
can
gotta
pick
dig into
this
that
up.
Swiss bank account.
Let me
Get in
see
there.
Few zeros
Oh
off,
my
boys.
lord. I wonder if they ever sold that Final Fantasy 15 car. I wonder if that ever ended up selling, because I mean, I think it was a model of an R8 or something that they did it with. I can't remember what it was, but
Dude,
yeah.
they've guaranteed sold it. I mean, shit like that just goes, man. People just love weird shit like that.
Amex Life.
Yeah, hashtag. You could buy the Final Fantasy 15 car with your unbelievable endless credit cap of your Amex card.
Get them points.
Drive it around. Get them points.
Get them points. Get a free flight out of this one, boys. First class.
Buy the car. Get a free flight that's a province over in Canada.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, I've seen people spend money on worse things. So, to me, it's whatever. I think it's cool. People out there,
I think it looks. I think it looks cool. I'm just like, even if I had baller money and I'm a hardcore gamer, it would be. I feel like
But you're not that
part
type
of my
of person,
soul
Adam.
would leave my body.
You
You
were going on about a $1,200 cell phone last week. Obviously, this isn't for you. This is just not for you.
No, I
You
I
can't
get that,
comprehend.
obviously. I get that.
Okay, if you were filthy rich and you had an opportunity to have an insane room of audio that would just fucking blow anybody's mind, where you walk down and there's a theater and you have got the most expensive motherfucking shit on the planet and it sounds like absolute god tier and you were passionate, you would drop that money so quick. Because at any you're like, whatever, I've got so much money, I want this. And there's people out there that think the same way about other things. So it's all in. You just got to put it into perspective. Is it for me? No. Have I? Could I spend really dumb money on things that I probably shouldn't? Absolutely. I could never spend that much money on a headset because it just doesn't mean a lot to me. But things that do mean quite a bit to me, if I had the money and the opportunity was right and it was limited edition and I felt like I was getting something that was even more valuable than money itself, then why not? It's whatever.
You know what I want infinite money for, Jeff?
What's
I
that?
want infinite money so that I can take my 2016 RAV4
Oh,
into a custom shop and have them extend the track
you
of the
can't.
seat.
It's leased. You can't do shit. It's leased.
And yeah, but if I have all that money, I'll buy the car.
Oh,
And then,
okay. Now we're
all right. And then I'm gonna get the track on the seat extended. And then because my legs are so long, I'm gonna need to extend the telescopic wheel. And then I'm gonna drive like normal people with my knees underneath the steering wheel.
Bam.
That's what I'm
my
gonna do.
God.
Balling out of control.
That's how you spend that money.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we want to do a break or do we just like hop right
Just
into?
keep it going, man. Fuck it. Just keep it
All
going.
right, let's do our own quick sell-out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this podcast to this point. Hit us up on iTunes. Get us to 100 reviews. We've been sitting at 88 reviews for about 4 months now. And, you know, I cry at night sometimes thinking about the fact that we haven't hit 100 reviews. So if we can hit 100 reviews on iTunes, I will be an infinitely happier person. So 5-star ratings, 5-star. Also, hit us up on patreon.com/Technical Alpha, where you can get in on a whole bunch of Technical Alpha swag and support this podcast so that it can continue to go, and then it can continue to grow because we have bigger and better things in mind that we'd like to be able to accomplish that we need a few more dollars for. We're getting awfully close, and if we can sustain, I think, just north of 5,000, which we're approaching, and hopefully we can keep it there for a while. We have some expanding things in mind to bring you guys more content. Also, if you want to see Jeff and I tackle his retro game collection that's behind him, if you've been watching this on YouTube or here on the live stream, then at $5 and higher, you get access to Retro Versus, and you get to watch us try and play the best and the worst. And believe me, there's some doozies in that cabinet back there that we've tackled and we have yet to tackle. And you'll be able to get some more content that way. And yeah, just check it out. The new website isn't done yet, but it's coming. Been talking back and forth with the guy who's basically a god, single-handedly in his off time putting it together and doing a fantastic job of it. I'm excited. All the functionality is working really well. On the website soon, you're going to be able to see when we're live. You're going to be able to go through every single podcast in our library right there with a player, listen to all of it on the website. Eventually, you'll be able to download them as well from there if you want. The Patreon wall will automatically be updating there. That will be forever updated on a timely basis so that when you are at certain tiers on the Patreon, your name will automatically fill there. Not your full name, of course, because we don't want to have all the disclosure forever, but your name will be there. And it's going to look pretty sweet. So we'll keep you abreast of that. Moving on, movies and TV. We need a little jingle. Movies. Hey, look, I didn't claim to be a musical savant, all right? I'd made no
Didn't
claims.
even hit Jeff up with that noise today.
Oh, Mr. MaximusBlack.
Yeah.
Hit me up with the noise of J.J. Abrams doing every freaking movie ever.
Lens flare, lens flare.
I'm blind. Oh,
I
fuck.
hear it.
It's classic J.J. J.J. Abrams took a look at the smash hit, and I mean smash hit anime movie, Your Name, and
That's
said,
because there's
you know
so
what?
much lens flare all over it all the time.
Exactly. Oh, he wants in on it. He wants an excuse.
Yes.
And he's making one.
Yes.
And he wants to do a live action adaptation of Your Name. And I don't know how I feel about it. Mostly because almost all of the anime to live action transitions have been pretty shite. And so I don't
Some of
know.
them are bad, yeah. A lot of them are bad.
I don't know, how I feel about this one. I mean, this one's probably more suited to a live action adaptation because it's not necessarily some over the top super animu type thing. It's not like actiony or anything. It's more of like real life, young adult type stuff. So it lends itself perhaps better to the live action conversion than than some of this other stuff like Ghost in the Shell or what was it, Death Note, I think, is on Netflix and stuff of that nature. So there is some hope there for sure. Am I excited that J.J. Abrams is the one doing it? I'm not 100% sure about that, but at the same time, I guess it's cool that it's being recognized. The movie itself did really, really well. I think it did 370 some million box office, which for an anime film, I'm going to say is pretty damn good. It's also lauded as perhaps some of the best animation ever laid down. And if you've ever seen even clips of this thing, it's incredibly impressive to look at. And it's supposed to be quite a film. Comes out in November, I think, on Blu-ray. I'm sure we'll have it here in the house, and I'll be watching it.
The only
for sure.
way I want to see this be a real live action thing is if they pretty much take the, I'm air quoting this not sarcastically, just the cinematography and how they laid out the anime and just make it a live action movie. I don't need J.J. Abrams or whoever's vision for it, because Your Name was actually really good. And if they want to make a live action, I'm totally okay with that, but they should be keeping the original vision. I don't want like a Hollywood rewrite of whatever anime or Asian thing they do, because they always fucking ruin it because they don't understand the source material. Because Japanese
the problem
is
is they don't really give a shit what you think, because your demographic for going to the movies and making a movie a success is infinitely smaller than the everyday moviegoer. So, Hollywood is going to do Hollywood, whether you want to like that or not. It's just a matter of how far they push the envelope, how whitewashed it becomes. Those are the headlines that sort of that fuck a movie before it even comes out. The good news is it's J.J. Abrams, and J.J. doesn't make bad movies. He just doesn't. I'm yet to watch a film from J.J. I mean, they're arguably speaking, some people thought Star Wars wasn't good. Some people think Super 8 wasn't great or whatever the fuck. But I enjoy all of his movies. Obviously, there's going to be people that don't like him, but they're all successful. They've all done very well, the vast majority of them. So I have faith in whatever JJ does. Obviously, he must have some kind of vision to just come out of the blue and say, hey, I want to do this specific material. So, yeah, as long as it's not like overly whitewashed and just looks so American that they're better off just kind of stealing ideas from it and just making a whole new IP. But then that's the problem, is new IPs just don't do so well. So obviously they want to hit a demographic overseas where the vast majority of ticket sales sell anyway. So I think it's good. I'm not. That's the thing, is I don't care about the source material because I've never seen it. At like most North American
that's what he's going
moviegoers,
for too,
right?
I think that's what JJ's going for. I mean, because the difference between this and other anime adaptations is that all the ones that have come before it are based on anime that's been around forever and a day. This is something that's inside of what, a couple of years, like a year. since it hit theaters. I can't remember the exact date, but it's so recent and fresh, and it was received so well. And I think obviously JJ enjoyed the movie. He would have had to have seen it before he decided to do this, and so he must have enjoyed it immensely. And like you said, Jeff, have some idea of how he wants to put a spin on this. It's not going to be a shot-for-shot remake. I wouldn't want it to be a shot-for-shot remake of it in live action. I would want it to be taken a different way, because I don't think anime and live action line up well enough to do a shot-for-shot replication from one to the other.
See that for some thumb.
I think that thematically and visually, like I said before, this is definitely lending itself better to a live action than other ones in the past that we've seen here recently. And while it's hard for me, because all I really can think of when I think JJ, no matter how comically it's put, is all I think of is lens flare, blah, 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 it's whatever. Yes, his movies are all vastly, or arguably all of his movies are very good, if not great. It's just trying to put, knowing what the source material is. I haven't watched the movie, but just knowing what what it's almost like a slice of life type deal. So knowing what that is and then trying to apply JJ to that in my brain is a bit of a mind fuck, but at the same time, we could have done worse. This could have been somebody else other than JJ that probably would have done it a hell of a lot worse, and maybe it is a good thing that he's apparently excited to do it, because maybe that means he's going to put a lot more effort into it than some other people would have if they just did a call for a director to show up on the doorstep and do this live action adaptation. So I think it's smart they're doing it.
It's JJ, so it's going to be
He
good.
picks his projects
it's
at this
going to be
point.
yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, he's coming off Star Wars and he's producing, Episode 9, and he's doing all these big things. The fact that he's going to come out and put his name and his reputation on the line when he could pick anything he fucking wants, and he decides to do this, obviously
Get a perk up a bit.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So this might actually get me in the theater to go watch this thing. And I'm not one for anime to movies. I did not go see Death Note. I did not watch Death Note. I did not watch the that other one with what's her face, Scarlett Johansson, Ghost in the Shell. I did not watch that. And I'm a huge moviegoer. I just don't see the appeal to these weird Japanese fixations on American culture that just don't resonate with me at all. I just some of it is just very bizarre and out there. So having a name like JJ behind it, and I like his work, this might get me into the theater.
Yeah, I think the big thing, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, when it comes around, is who's going to inevitably be starring in this movie. And how much of it, there's every time one of these happens, the general discussion inevitably ends up being how whitewashed is it? Like you've already mentioned, Jeff, how whitewashed does it become? And then the irony in most of this, and it happened with the Ghost in the Shell, is that when you go back and you talk to the creator of the source material, they often outright say there was no intention that this character was to be Japanese or had to be Japanese, or in fact I wrote them in as European just because the anime is, or anime as a medium is a largely Japanese thing done by Japanese people, does not mean that everyone that's in every one of these anime productions is Japanese.
But that's how it's presented. So how are people supposed to know these things?
But it's
right?
not. But it's not presented that way at all. In fact, if you look at the majority of anime, other than being able to recognize that it's a Japanese art style itself, the people that are in animes don't really look Japanese, like almost ever. Like almost no characters ever look Japanese.
They look American with this weird. There's like pieces of it's just bizarre how they do it. Right?
The art style of anime has changed over the last 30 years or whatever. But yeah, it's
the way I see it is look at the anime that you're looking to convert, and then do it based on the material. Full Metal Alchemist, for example, is based on German and European characters. Yet, for some reason, they did all Japanese characters because it originated. I'm like, that doesn't kind of make sense. Like that one, I can see you whitewashing all the characters because honestly, they're supposed to be like European, like the names, all the characters, everything like that. Things like Ghost in the Shell, I was against whitewashing because those characters were mostly Asian. They had Asian origins and all of that, and it was like that one. I'm like, why are you guys whitewashing this for no reason? Like,
well, there is a reason. No one's gonna go into the movie theater.
Yeah, exactly.
To some star, to some Japanese star. There is very few of them, and that's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's why they do it.
The hurdle is definitely that people that are the diehard for the anime, the diehard for the source material, is that it's hard for them to realize that these live action adaptations are largely not for them. If you want, it's like something like I guess I can to bring this into gaming. People often, like I listen to the Giant Bombcast, and people always ask the guys there, often they'll be like, do you think it'd be kind of cool if we had X game from 30 years ago just brought back up and freshened up and slapped a new coat of paint on it, and we could do all these things, A, B, C, D, and E again? And then the general response is no, because if you want that, you can get that right now. You just go play the game that already exists. I listened to a cast a couple weeks ago, and somebody said, how dope would it be if Road Rash came back? And, we could get, and they said, there's another game that came out, but it's not really Road Rash because you couldn't do this, this, and this. And then Jeff Gerstmann was like, well, you're just describing Road Rash. Go play Road Rash. Nobody is going to buy Road Rash from 1994 in the year 2017 because it's the same game. You just go play Road Rash. And the same thing is with this anime and live action adaptation, is that the live action is not made for the people that are necessarily the diehard anime people. They're made for the people that's outside of that, to reach a broader audience than its original source material would likely be for. That's who it's for. And for the crossover people that aren't so hardcore about it that they give a fuck, that will go and watch the live action adaptation. And that seems to be a bit of a hurdle, is that at the end of the day, it's not for, if you're that hardcore about it, it's not for you. They're not doing that. If you want to watch Ghost in the Shell as Ghost in the Shell, go fucking watch Ghost in the Shell. I've got great news for you. They've remastered the ever-living fuck out of it, and if you're so hardcore about it, you probably already
even had a new anime series that was really good.
Exactly. Just go watch a Ghost in the Shell. So, I agree. But to bring it all back personally, yes, I'm interested to see what JJ does, because obviously he has to be interested in it to have just come up out of the blue and been like, hey guys, I'm doing this movie. So we'll see how that comes around. James Cameron, who is neck deep in filming 67 Avatar movies and a handful of other related things all at the same time, because apparently he figured out how to do that and still sleep and eat, has doubled down on his comments about Wonder Woman. And we talked about this on the podcast back when he first made these comments. And how he believes Wonder Woman was a step back in terms of women in film being represented as... He basically sees the Wonder Woman film as she's just a sex object and that's it. That's how he sees it. And then he compares directly to, what's her name from Linda... Oh, no, was it Linda? From Terminator...
Linda Hamilton.
Yes, thank you. That's the name I'm looking for. And said, over here, we didn't sex her up at all, and she was doing like pull-ups in jail, and she, we didn't put her in revealing clothing, but she was still, feminine and everything. And while I'm reading his explanation, and it's pretty lengthy, like he gives this pretty lengthy explanation where he doubles down on this. Honest to God, all I can read out of it is James Cameron is saying, you can't be a strong female role unless you're not drop dead gorgeous. Because he mentions this about Gal, where he calls her out for having won Miss Israel or whatever, and said she's the most beautiful person out of this country, and you bring her in, you put her in here, and her suit is form fitting, and you sexed her up and everything, and so blah, blah, blah. And so all I could think of, what do you want? A leather boot and fucking Wonder Woman's costume, and then it's feminism? Like then we're making progress because the woman isn't good looking? Like, what kind of a fucking message is that supposed to be sending? Now we can only have average looking people in on both men and female sides, so that we're making progress with rights and what a strong female and male role can be. We can't all have jaw lines that cut granite and 46-pack abs and fucking just perfect friggin' tits and ass and just this godlike Adonis type shit. Now we can't do it. Like, it just seems so stupid. Like and honestly, I lost a little respect for James Cameron because it's just such a dumb comment, and he doubled down on it in the worst way possible by making it even more petty than his original comment was. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I think it's ridiculous. I think Wonder Woman was amazing and a definitely not a step backwards for women in film. If anything, it was a pleasant surprise that it went over as well as it did, and it did as well as it did. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Honestly, for me, I don't know. I don't agree with his comments per se. He doubled down in the wrong place. I agree with you on that. They're two different things. Like Terminator and Linda Hamilton, and Sarah Connor, and all that. Terminator is a dystopian future about, terrible stuff and all this other, more realistically based. Wonder Woman's a friggin' superhero movie. There's image and other things that have been, iconic since the 60s and 70s. You can't go that far and change Wonder Woman for that purpose. So they picked an actor who, portrayed that role, realistically, that people could, they could reconcile what Wonder Woman looked like in the comics for 30 years, 40 years, 50, however long, with the actress. There were some compromises they had to make there. This does not take away from Gal Gadot, as an actress or anything. She was phenomenal in the role. And like you said, it didn't take away anything. I don't know. I kind of lost track of where I was going with that, but yeah.
I think there would have been some merit to what James Cameron said if Gal Gadot came and completely butchered Wonder Woman, like if she was a horrible actress and she just didn't hold her own physically or anything. She was just some pageant queen that came in and filled the role. But that wasn't the case. In fact, it was the complete opposite. I thought she went in there. She starred in her first major role. She did it amazingly. The movie was well received. She was astronomically underpaid for what she did. I just thought she was amazing. I thought she if I'm a father and I'm taking my daughter to a Marvel movie, and if I ever have a daughter, I'm a huge movie junkie, and so I like to go see movies, and it would be amazing for me to take my child to the theater and experience film with my child, but obviously I have to figure out what I can and cannot show a child at certain ages. I think if we went in there with a young girl, and you were a parent that was okay with showing some violence and things like that, but it wasn't like rated R or blood getting splattered all over the places. It was a very PG-13, PG, it was very conservative.
Less sexualized than Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, for example.
Exactly. So, I would take my daughter to go see that and leave feeling good that she got to witness a woman that was good-looking, strong, held to her beliefs, wasn't being sexed up in all these scenes, literally didn't have sex, on screen, and just, some humping, dumping type crazy shit. You know what I mean? I mean, there was a scene with Chris, but I mean, it was more of like a open the door and close the door type thing. It wasn't
implied.
It was implied. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely do that. And I mean, coming from somebody like James Cameron that made Titanic, that had a woman there that was sexed up and was shown beauty and laid there topless for the paint and was getting screwed in the backseat of a car, in the Titanic, and was running around all wet all the time and all this other shit. It seems pretty hypocritical for him to come out and say things like that. I understand where he's coming from in terms of taking some hot chick. I actually think she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet, period.
Yeah.
So, I see where he's coming from. When a woman's that beautiful, you're almost rooting for her to fail, because if not, she's just like perfect. And I think James Cameron has two agendas. I think the first is he wants to bring light to his new Terminator movie, where he's bringing back the old stars from the original and actually making Terminator 3 and disregarding, not saying any of the ones that came after Judgment Day was canon. So he's axing all that out, and he's actually going to make a real Terminator movie. So I think part of it is him advertising Terminator's return, and then also he's James Cameron. I mean, he is the god of film. He is the guy who has the top 2 most successful films ever created, ever, and by a massive margin, not even a small. Avatar and Titanic have made so much money. Anything that James Cameron touches is absolute gold, and he only makes a movie once every bajillion years. He produces a lot of shit, he writes a lot of stuff, but he only directs a certain amount of film. So there's an ego about James Cameron, and he also knows when he speaks, people listen. And so I think he's just trying to bully his way in to make an opinion that isn't working here at all. He does look like a moron. Yeah, and do I lose respect for James Cameron? No. I mean, he's an old dude. He's probably in his 60s. He's old-fashioned. I don't hate on him for it, but he's an idiot. What he said there is just uncalled for and stupid. I think he might be a little bit jealous of the success that other films are having, and he hasn't had his heyday since Avatar, and he's working on 4 more Avatar films, for Christ's sake. So, you know what, James Cameron? Just go back into the studio where you go and you create your new fucking IMAX camera that can do fucking 7D, and you go and break all the molds, and we'll talk about how great you are in 2020 or 19 or whenever you're dropping Avatar 2. Until then, keep your mouth shut. If you ain't got nothing good to say, then don't fucking say it, James Cameron, because people actually listen to what you have to say, and what you're saying right now is fucking stupid. You're just an idiot. Why would you say something like that? She crushed it, and she's a great role model. Wherever she goes, whether it's on a talk show, on social media, she never comes off trashy. She doesn't wear skanky shit. She isn't getting fucked by every A-star list actor. She isn't glamoring around and acting fool or taking fame to her head. She is the perfect, from what we see, or at least that's what she portrays herself, as the perfect embodiment of what a female lead superstar in Hollywood should be. So I don't know why you're talking shit at all. This isn't Gal Gadot's fault. You picked the wrong one.
Worst possible fight on that
stupid.
one.
That was not the fight. That's not the hill
out
to
of
die
all
on
of the
for
ones he could have drawn from, he picked the worst possible fight to take up on that one. And yeah, I mean, I haven't lost respect for his filmmaking prowess, obviously. I just mean, you know, based on what he's saying as a person, that's just stupid. I mean, I can't fathom. There's not even a point. Go ahead.
It's like when you're the guy, you just arrived at prison, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to be the bitch, so I got to find the biggest guy, and I got to go after him. That's what he chose to do here.
Yeah, he's definitely still looking like a bitch, though. I mean, that's just all he comes across as in this, is just whining for the worst possible reason. I mean, it's just terrible. And it also brings up the whole thing whereby, and Jeff kind of touched on it a bit, where there's where I do feel for, and this is going to sound really stupid I'm sure to some people, but I kind of feel for attractive women who are also intelligent and skilled or talented, because apparently women live in a world of dichotomy where you're only supposed to either be intelligent and full-blown profoundly retarded, or not attractive and talented. Like the two things. And if you're really attractive and talented, then all of a sudden, no matter what you do, you're just sexing it up. Like, how dare you come to this quantum physics emporium dressed like such a harlot, and you're so good looking, and fuck you for having a PhD, and is all it ends up sounding like.
The people that complain about those things, it's an insecurity thing, I think. I think a guy like James Cameron, who has it all, he has everything. I mean, he doesn't run Hollywood, but when he shows up, it stops. and he does his thing, I think he's intimidated by her. That's the only, it's an insecurity thing. I think anybody that complains, and also, women have always been treated this way, in every way. It's the harsh reality of it. Male actors can be attractive and intelligent. In fact, most really good looking actors are also known as to be intelligent people, and they got to where they did because of hard work and not their looks. It's almost like their looks are second nature to their abilities, and when it comes to women, typically it's their looks. And let's be real here, it is her looks. She wouldn't have gotten this part if she wasn't as gorgeous as she is.
No.
You got to take it and give it. Most attractive women understand that. They understand that they can get with wealthier men. They use their looks in every way. Not all women, and they're all shallow, but let's be real here. Most good-looking women know they're good-looking, and they use that to their advantage. Whether
Can I change that to good-looking people use that to their advantage? Because let's be real here, dudes do the same thing. It's not like it's only women.
No, and I agree with you, but I'm not going to go straight down the middle with you. I definitely think it's more abused on the women's side than the men's side, and I don't think that is a biased look. I think it's just a reality of it. Women know. Guys typically, you're a good-looking dude, and you go in with confidence, but I think a lot of women feel as though they have to up it up. They're constantly in competition with other women around them, and they are constantly obsessing about the way other women look and even how they are perceived, not only from men but also women. Of course, there's men that are like that too, and most of those men, but men typically aren't as insecure about their appearance as women are. It's just a woman thing. And I don't want to sound like a complete fucking dick here, but it's just, I'll be the guy that'll just flat out say it. Women understand the game. Any smart woman really understands the game, and they will use that to their advantage. It happens in Hollywood. It happens in the music biz. It happens in real life. Hell, I know people in real life, guys that aren't the most attractive dudes that have extremely gorgeous women, and it's because the dudes are extremely wealthy, or there's a reason for it. I mean, that's just how she goes. We saw Hugh Hefner, who just passed away, for Christ's sake. You could see the women that surrounding him, and all these Instagram models and things like that. So I think instead of women, Gal Gadot isn't even complaining about this. I think she understands her position. She used her looks as leverage. There's nothing wrong with that. But one thing that I commend her for is showing up and taking the role serious. She went in. She studied the character. She gave a great performance. She was an actual leading star actress. She did a phenomenal job. She presents herself with grace and is a great role model to women out there. Unlike a lot of women that would be very attractive that could go right into that role and do the complete opposite, right? So I have nothing bad to say about Gal Gadot, and I'm against James Cameron here, but let's be real. There is a point to what he's making, but it doesn't apply in this situation. He's painting a brush,
I agree.
And it just doesn't work here.
I agree that there is definitely, and I mean, yeah, but it confuses me as to why he would bring it up anyway, because it's not like it's just weird to me. It's already a topic that's being covered. It's already a thing that's been around forever, and it's been slow to change, but it is changing. And so if you're going to bring it up, you're going to sound like you're late to the party anyway. And then two, to pick this of all things to go after was just like unbelievably ridiculous. Just so stupid.
I think it has to do with the Terminator movie and him bringing back the original strong woman, right? Because
bring back Linda Hamilton, who was
fucking like
about
60 years old now.
Just like 100 years old. She looked 60 when she was 24. Let me bring her back because she could bench press a fucking Honda Civic out in the parking lot in between takes, and she's the good, strong, curse like a sailor, fucking kill everything that moves role model that today's women need.
Oh, it's the same thing with Alien. I mean, he's always been that type of guy that got actual strong physical females that that aren't the stereotypical super beauty. Other than
I feel
Titanic.
like James. I feel like James got burnt by some beautiful women in his life, and now he's just taking it out on
100%. I'm telling you, it's an insecurity thing for sure.
James never batted north of a 5, and now he's salty about it, and he just wants to get back at everyone that's on the other side of the border.
It's not like it was Megan Fox who was playing Wonder Woman. If it was like Megan Fox playing Wonder Woman, then sure, James Cameron, go out and say all the shit you want to say because I'll be on board with you. But come on, this chick here just fucking murdered everything, dude. Just keep your mouth shut, bro.
Let them have the movie. It was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Movie's great. Star Trek Discovery gets finally shows up after all this talk and all this pomp and circumstance and people debating. Comes out mixed reception. I've seen an almost 50-50 split on how people feel about it, and that's before you even get down to how you get to watch the show in the first place. So it seems like the hardcore Trekkies are none too pleased about it because Star Trek has always been more of a, I guess the word of the day would be cerebral science fiction television show. And not so much about the action, so much as about the politics of it all and the exploration segment to it, and then also more of a platform for social commentary on the current situation of humanity versus what would be an idealistic humanity in the future. Star Trek used the platform to push. Black women in a leading role. First kiss a black woman had on TV. Pushing a woman as a captain early on, black man as a captain back in the 80s. Well, no, not 80s, 90s, early 90s. No, was Deep Space Nine like late 80s, early 90s? When was Deep Space Nine?
Deep Space Nine was like 96, 97.
Okay.
Voyager was like
really?
97, 98 launch.
Oh, okay.
Or it might have been 94, 95. Like they launched.
I think it was earlier than that.
Next Generation was ending.
It was like 90, yeah.
Right as DS9 was starting.
Yeah.
And then Voyager launched like a couple of months after
97.
Star Trek ended, or Next Generation ended. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's basically what it's all been about. And so a lot of the complaints I've seen is that they've stripped a lot of that out of Discovery, and it seems to be central to a single character instead of multiple characters, which is also what Star Trek was known for. Meaning a lot of the secondary characters are just kind of fodder for the rest of the show, and it just seems to be
people just die.
Yeah, and it just seems to people also just didn't like the captain all that much, not because it's a woman or anything, but because she's already been like this crazy hypocrite in the first 2 episodes, which is not really a great look for a captain in the first couple of episodes. So I saw a bunch of complaints. I saw a bunch of people that enjoyed it and took it for what it was. The people that enjoyed it tended to also mention the fact that it didn't feel like Star Trek, but they enjoyed it anyway just as a form of entertainment. So it didn't feel like Trek to them. It felt more like a action-y, Star Wars-y type science fiction bit. And then, of course, and we can talk about it after... as well, I'll ask Panic. I don't know, Panic, did you watch the first 2 episodes?
I haven't watched it yet. There's a bunch I want to say on it, but
okay.
If I start, I'm gonna go. So if Jeff or you want to say anything further, I'll let you.
Okay,
guys
go I'll get mine out. Jeff probably doesn't give a fuck to Star Trek.
I just don't see the appeal in Star Trek. It is too. Yeah. There is just too much politics involved, and it just seems like a very pretentious. Not Star Wars, and I'm not even saying that because I'm a Star Wars fanboy. It's almost like they try too hard, and it's just not that interesting. It's all about exploration, but I find the Star Trek that I've watched, and I haven't watched a lot of it, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, man.
But I have. I would say probably in my lifetime, I've probably watched 30 or 40 episodes of Star Trek, which is a fair amount. I mean, my dad used to watch
versions.
it, so. varying versions all over. I
Yeah.
think the vast majority of it was probably Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And I even tried to go back and watch it on Netflix.
They have them all on Netflix in Canada right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just couldn't do it. And I find there's not a lot of actual space exploration. I think it's a lot of it is them moving around, but I have a lot's on the ship or like teleporting to another ship, and there's not a lot of actual like going on to planets and seeing different things. Like that has happened, but there's not enough of it. I think on a film that's all about exploration, it would be obviously budget-wise, it would crush budgets doing a whole new planet every time. But
you'd be dead.
Yeah, but I mean, it just doesn't seem that it doesn't appeal to me all that much.
I totally get you. Like there are several layers to science fiction, and I wouldn't say Star Trek is entirely about exploration. I'd say it's unless you're talking about Voyager.
But it's even in their motto to go where no man has gone before or some shit, and they don't go anywhere. It's just
it's about it is a politics thing in the realm of interacting with other species and using it as an analogy for how we interact in reality with species here, or like races here on Earth. Yeah. But no, I get where you're, as somebody on the outside going in, you see Star Trek, and one of the first things you're probably going to imagine is you're going to see all these planets and all these aliens and all this, whatever, and then the vast majority of the Star Trek shows that you would come across, except for Voyager, Voyager was exploration first, politics second, and it was, I think, probably the only one of all the Star Treks that really did that. It is definitely a politically dense show, for sure, and so yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, for sure. But before I let Panic go, I'll get all of this out as well, so that people all listening also understand where some of this is going to be coming from. There's a lot of backlash because of how they're delivering this TV show. So in the States, you can only see this legally. You can only see this on CBS All Access, which is yet another on-demand service for CBS-specific content. That is $5.99 to get basic access to it, but you still see ads. I'm going to say that one more time. Wow. You're paying for an on-demand service that still shows you ads at the entry $5.99 a month. I mean, I pay for 4K Netflix for up to 5 different people, 13 Canadian pesos a month, after they just upped it like $1 or something in this latest round. With way more content than CBS All Access is ever going to fucking have, and 0 ads are involved. It is a kick in the balls to go, hey, yeah, you can pay us $6 a month for only CBS All Access shit, but hey, we're still going to show you some advertisements at that level. That's absolutely ridiculous. The next level up before you get no ads is $9.99, I think is what they have listed, and then you don't see any ads at that point. But that's just $10 now. Now you're in 4K Netflix territory, and you're trying to get this for CBS All Access is stupid. But here's where it gets a little weirder. So that's only in the States. So America's getting fucked. And then you go to Canada, who normally gets fucked. We know what Canada
feels like now.
Exactly. So the States are feeling the Canada burn, because Canada now can watch it on the Space Network. Just if you have cable and you have the Space Channel, guess what? You're seeing Star Trek Discovery. And if you want it on demand, Crave TV has it. And at least, once again, Crave TV being not a direct competitor to Netflix, but similar styling, you're going to pay less money for more variety of content, and now you get it on demand. For everyone else in the world, Netflix.
Get fucked.
Netflix is going to have it. So America arguably its primary market is going to be brutalized
by this
strategy.
A series in the foot.
Like, I can't even imagine how they ever decided that this would be an intelligent way to try and bring a new Star Trek in. You're already fighting an uphill battle bringing a new Star Trek to Trekkies in the first place, and even trying to expand beyond the fan base to people like Jeff. And then you're going to lock it behind CBS All Access, where you too can watch CBS specific content for $6 a month with ads. And try and get it that way, and then the kick in the balls, Canada gets it on cable television, and the rest of the world gets it on Netflix. That's the biggest burn, is the Netflix burn, because it's it's the on-demand that everyone has, that they're now starving America for this CBS. It's nuts. So this show is going to die, or they're going to backpedal on CBS All Access in a very short period of time, because I want you to understand, if you can't already, I guarantee everyone already knows this, the pirating numbers for this show are going to be so much bigger than the people that are paying for CBS All Access that it's going to dwarf it, and they're going to have to think twice about how they're tackling this dissemination of their new TV show. So there you go. So there's all of your info. Panic, who I knew was going to have a lot to talk about on this one, giving you the floor. Show us what you got.
Well, first off, I'm going to say, Jeff, you're 100% right in exactly what you said about Star Trek. It is kind of highbrow, kind of pretentious. And, back in the 80s and 90s, that's how TV shows were. You had like Knight Rider. You had all these shows that were like that. That's just how it's been. Personally, as much as I would love to see new, fresh Star Trek now, I acknowledge at the same time that Star Trek is not the kind of TV nowadays that's popular. People want to go on an adventure with the characters. They don't want to have some highbrow interpretation passed down to them. And on top of it, we're in a much more confrontational society now than we were when Star Trek originally came out. Star Trek back in the day, especially Next Generation, they talked a lot about the social commentary of society and issues, which is again part of the reason why it might be a little bit harder to get into. They didn't necessarily do as much exploring and going to like new planets and stuff as people would expect from a space exploration sci-fi series. They had a lot of episodes, and arguably I would say some of my favorite episodes were the ones where they delved into it. There's like a season 2 episode, Measure of a Man, where they want to disassemble Data to figure out how to make more of him. And they had a whole huge commentary. They didn't go anywhere. Happened all on the ship, but it was probably one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek ever. They talked about a lot of interesting things. They brought up a lot of points about society and how people see each other. That type of TV is not that popular nowadays. It's not gonna fly. People don't like being told how to think about things, how to look at, analyze things. They want to come up with their assumptions or their beliefs, and they want to stick with it. That's just kind of how it is. That's my opinion on it. So yeah, this show is going to tank, not just because of, CBS All Access and this garbage, which is stupid, by the way. We're not in a place where, standard Gene Roddenberry Star Trek is popular. The old series will hold up and people will watch them. But any new series that launched is not going to really work. It's not going to be popular enough with what's in trending in TV now in style, because that's not what Star Trek was. And any older person who's watched the original Star Trek series, they're just going to watch it and be like, this isn't Trek. This is, there's no winning for any series for Star Trek that comes out in the next couple of years. So as much as I would love it, I don't think Discovery's going to do well. It's not really a time and a place for Star Trek as much as we need it, or the fans may want it. We're just not there.
Yeah, the movies are doing fine. I think the movies are great, and coming from a guy that isn't a big Star Trek, I don't hate Star Trek. I just don't see the appeal. But the movies are very well made because there is more action. It's more Hollywood. It's more Star Wars.
Movies aren't Star Trek in anything but name and characters. But that being said, I go and watch all the Star Trek movies. I love them. I love what JJ did with them. I love the thing. I love that fix. To me, it's not true Star Trek, but it's fun Star Trek. It's something I can go and watch. I'll enjoy. For a TV series, that won't really fly. For a TV series, I want that cerebral, I want that social commentary. I liked that style for a lot of the older Star Trek series. I love my series of action, and I would like to have, I feel like Voyager did like a good mesh of it. But you know, I get where you're coming from, you know, but the Star Trek movies personally aren't really Star Trek in spirit, I would say.
Yeah, they're just stripping the action of the parts of Star Trek and making it into a feature-length film, which is fine. That's why it works, because it's a feature-length film and not a long airing series that goes over the span of several seasons, where they can make that work. You know, even Game of Thrones is running into issues with that, how they're balancing they had it for a few seasons now, where they were balancing their political side with how they're going to balance how much action they had and the budget problems they started running into, and
the time
how many times can
the characters aging.
Yeah, and like how many times are we really going to be able to show the dragons on screen before we run out of our budget, or how many how can we cram these 2 seasons in, and people are traversing weeks worth of travel inside of what ends up being 2 days, and all of this just goes to shit, and it's all burning around them. There's just unfortunately, even for shows with the monstrous budget of Game of Thrones, there's always going to be a bit of a problem there, because like Jeff said, and like Panic said, people aren't necessarily interested in I shouldn't say people, I should say not enough people are necessarily interested in the super cerebral, slow burn stuff that Star Trek would do. But the problem that Star Trek has, and why that cerebral type stuff might work for other types of series, is that they don't have to worry about the budgetary restraints of trying to put off a space exploration type environment. You can have these super cerebral shows that are just held in downtown London, because you're just walking around downtown London with a camera, and Bob's your uncle. You've done it. Maybe you have to spend a couple of bucks on pyrotechnics to blow up a truck. All right, you've done it. That's the show, but you don't have to build out a bunch for CGI ships and special effects and crazy amounts of makeup and entire new worlds where they take the ship down and all this extracurricular activity that would come along with the Star Trek series. So it is a bit of a rock in the hard place, and I think I agree with what Panic said. Where right now we're not really in the place where Star Trek works. You would have to err, again, like Panic said, on the side of a Voyager, where it's more exploration, less politics. But
there's
then you
so
also
many
don't
good shows out there. Like,
if
you're gonna put out a Star Trek show, you better damn well do it right.
It's gotta be your A game,
and you gotta have a budget, like a big ass budget for it, and you gotta not put it behind such thick paywalls. It's okay to put it behind Netflix because everybody's got Netflix. But if you're gonna be adding it to this service over here and that service over there, I mean, you just can't afford. People can't afford to be buying 3 or 4 different services at $5 to $10 a pop. It's just an inconvenience as well. It's like, even outside of money, it's just like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm gonna go over to Pirate Bay or whatever torrent site is up and running right now, and I'm gonna download the show and I'm gonna watch it. That's the only way I'm gonna do it, and you're not gonna make any money from that. So, RIP is just dumb. If they were going to do a Star Trek show, it should have been a Netflix exclusive, and they should have just crushed it. And that's it. And it would have done well just because of how many people have Netflix. Like, there's so many people out there that have Netflix that watch everything. Not because it's just Star Trek. So the ones that love Star Trek probably already have Netflix anyway. But other people that, like myself, that would just be sitting in bed going, what should I watch? And it's like, oh, I really could go.
Right now.
I could go for some sci-fi right now. You know what? I'm going to give this a fucking try. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try it. And if it sucks, I'll never watch it again. But if it's great, then I get to binge it. And I get to talk about it with my friends and tell them to go watch it on Netflix and how easy it is to consume. But no, they decided to go the most hardest way possible on a show that really just doesn't appeal to the masses right now. We got shows out like Game of Thrones. Like, what are you doing? No one wants to see your boring... I mean, not no one, but there are very few people out there that are willing to jump hurdles, climb buildings, jump off said building, and then run 5 miles to watch your Star Trek show. I mean, someone as big of a fan as Panic is of the series hasn't even watched your show yet. That's a problem.
I'm not gonna bother.
That's a problem. All right? That's
100%
if I'm not going to go,
agree.
if you're not going to go do it, I sure as
Why
fuck
are you going to waste
am
your time?
not going to
Like,
go
why are
out
you
of
gonna
my
waste
way
your
to
time?
watch
Well,
it.
that's
I don't
that's
give
what
a
I'm saying,
fuck
right?
if
Like
it's on what channel.
if you can't even get the if you're doing Star Trek, you better at least have the Trekkies nailed down and worry
yeah.
about
Giant
everyone else
Trekkie.
later.
Oh yeah.
If you can't lock down people that are fans of the series to begin with, then you done fucked up royally beyond ways that you're ever going to be able to pull back. That's just brutal. Absolutely brutal. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
honestly, I feel like before we
go ahead.
Before we
go
do
for
it, I honestly think they did this intentionally as a conspiracy theorist because everyone's been clamoring for do Star Trek on TV again. So CBS kind of like, yeah, we'll just do kind of half-ass so that people will friggin' shut up about it.
Yeah,
and then, it'll fail. We'll be like, oh yeah, no, we tried with Discovery, but no one wanted it.
That's like the stance that you have with like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's like people asked for it forever and ever and ever, and now that it's died down a bit, and they're doing it in the way that nobody ever asked them to do it. They have the footing to say, "Well, we fucking told you so," and you're like, "Well, no, it's not that. You just fucking put your shit where it didn't belong, and you friggin' put it in episodic content, and it's all in a way that's not what we wanted, but you're gonna say it was anyway, so fuck yourself."
Maybe they're just trying to push. I think probably what it was, they're trying to push their CBS pay thing.
Well, they're trying to get people on.
They go, okay, well, here's a big franchise that people are asking for. If we put it on this will boost the numbers up in some way. People will check out the other shows that we have on the network, and maybe this will create some buzz instead of just giving it to Netflix. But I think they're realizing pretty quick that,
but that's the funny thing. They gave it to Netflix. Just everywhere outside of North America.
Yep.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna definitely take a break now before side B. So if you're here on Twitch or watching, if you're on Twitch, you don't have to wait a few minutes. If you're on YouTube or you're listening to us on iTunes or Google Play or wherever else you're listening to us, Podcast Addict, everything in between, then you're gonna have to wait until Side B is released. But we do appreciate you stopping by and listening as always, and we hope you've enjoyed yourselves. But yes, for those on Twitch, you can just sit tight, and we'll be back in a few minutes. For everyone else, we'll see you on the next one, and until then. Peace. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us, help us, and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provide you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out, though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly, though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight.